Before we get into today's edition of Just the Truth, let me tell you about the latest special from Mike Lindell at MyPillow. The standard MyPillow, normally $49.98 for a limited time only, just $14.88 with promo code Joey. Go to MyPillow.com, click on the radio listener specials, and see all the specials. There's a limited quantity of just 10 at this special price. That's $14.88 with promo code Joey. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studio. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. Republicans in Texas say that Kamala Harris's planned visit to Texas is crazy, considering she doesn't have a chance in winning the red state, and especially that she is expected to talk about abortion rights in a state that has practically banned abortions. We have the latest details on her trip to Texas. Senator Ted Cruz had a few words about that as well. The liberal Los Angeles DA says he has reached a decision to seek a reduced sentence for the Menendez brothers, who are serving a life sentence for brutally murdering their own parents. This is another example of what Democrats will do with our judicial system if not stopped. Actor and filmmaker Mel Gibson made headlines this week after revealing his support for former President Donald Trump in this year's election. Kamala Harris has had a few endorsements from Hollywood and the entertainment industry of her own. And what a great time we had yesterday in Greenville giving out Trump campaign signs. Thanks for all of you who came by. I have some of the highlights of what you had to say yesterday.
I told you we'd be back.
And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free.
It's Joey Hudson.
I wanted to name it the Joey Hudson bill, but, they don't allow you to put names on bills. But I wanted to call it the Joey Hudson bill because I know that one's been near and dear to you for a number of years.
That's how it's done. Let your voice be heard.
And the truth shall set you free.
Here's Joey Hudson.
More than a dozen Texas Republicans, including Governor Greg Abbott, have criticized Vice President Kamala Harris' planned visit to Texas, saying that it's one of the dumbest political decisions they've ever seen, accusing her of neglecting border security and contributing to illegal immigration, which we all know that she has. So to go to a state like Texas, who has been, some cities have been decimated by the influx of illegals, and she's going to go to Houston to talk about abortion. During her visit, Harris is expected to address Texas's abortion policies following the Supreme Court decision to overturn Roe v. Wade in 2022. Abortion rights have been a significant part of her campaign, with her advocating for eliminating the filibuster to restore nationwide abortion access. Although abortion doesn't seem to be top of mind or the most important issue among Americans, because they're more concerned about the illegals coming into our country and our economy, buying groceries, putting gas in the car. Harris will be joined by Democrat Senate candidate Colin Allred. Allred is attempting to unseat Senator Ted Cruz, but faces criticism from Cruz for sharing what he calls radical policies with Harris. We have an update on what Cruz just has to say about that in just a moment. The visit comes among debates about border security, of course. Immigration, one of the top issues among all voters. I don't care which state you're in. And it's not just the border states. Harris was crowned the border czar early in the Biden-Harris administration. We all know that her policies have led to increased illegal immigration and crime. We have millions and millions of people who've come in these last 3.5 years. We don't even know how many millions there are. Texas leaders emphasize the need for stronger border control measures. All Kamala Harris has to say is that Donald Trump has kept her administration from passing what she calls meaningful immigration reform. And what she means is meaningful is that we've made all the ones who've come in legal, that we make it easier for people to come into our country. There were reports that singer-songwriter Beyonce might join Harris at the event in Houston. She's had a lot of entertainers from Hollywood at her events this past week. Senator Ted Cruz, who is being challenged by Colin Allred, as one of the most expensive Senate campaigns this year, called out the vice president for going to Texas but not taking the time to visit with the mother of Jocelyn Nungary, the young girl who was raped and murdered by illegal gang members who were allowed to enter the country under the Biden-Harris administration.
Where Brett asked her quite reasonably, do you wish to apologize to the parents of Lake and Riley? Do you wish to apologize to the parents of Rachel Marin? Do you wish to apologize to Jocelyn Nungary's mother? I know Jocelyn's mother, Alexis. She's a wonderful young woman grieving her 12-year-old daughter raped and murdered by illegal aliens that Kamala Harris released. And Kamala couldn't bring herself to apologize. She said she feels sorry, but she would take no accountability and she won't change the policies, which means today she's releasing new illegals who will rape and murder someone else. She's doing the exact same thing. And by the way, my opponent in my Texas Senate race, Colin Allred is Kamala Harris. They're both open border radicals who take no responsibility for their disastrous policies.
Can't argue with any of that. He's right. All Kamala Harris wants to try to do is to deflect and point the finger at Donald Trump. During a press gaggle yesterday, Harris was asked whether she would begin completing construction of the wall that she and Joe Biden stopped immediately upon taking office 3.5 years ago. They have since allowed millions and millions of dollars worth of wall material to waste, sold it for pennies on the dollar. Harris gave her usual response, would not answer the question.
Madam Vice President, this topic was brought up last night, but will construction of a southern border wall continue in your administration?
I will tell you that my highest priority is to put the resources into ensuring that our border is secure, which is why I've been very clear. I'm going to bring back up, as president, that bipartisan border security bill and make sure that it is brought to my desk so I can sign it into law. The biggest issue that we have right now is that Donald Trump has stood in the way of what would have been a proven part of the solution to the bigger problem, which is that we have a broken immigration system in America and we need to fix it. And we have the tools at hand, but we have on the other side of this election Donald Trump, who would prefer to run on a problem instead of fixing a problem. I intend to fix the problem in a way that is just about practical solutions that are within our arm's reach if we have the commitment to do it.
She's right. There are some practical solutions. It's real simple. You build the wall. You build the wall that was already well underway when you took office. You leave in place immigration policies that were working under Donald Trump. Instead, what do you do to make a point? You and Joe Biden come in and totally erase every single thing Donald Trump had done in his 4 years. You did it on the first day. It's a simple question. Will you resume building the wall? She couldn't answer it because we know she doesn't want to resume building the wall, because if she starts building the wall, then she admits that what she and Joe Biden did was wrong. I mean, what's hard about this? The question was, Madam Vice President, if you're elected, will you start building the wall back? She won't answer it. She won't answer anything. She keeps talking in circles about this, the influence that Donald Trump has had in stopping anything from happening. Well, she's the one in office. She and Joe Biden are president and vice president. They have control of the U.S. Senate. And she says that Donald Trump has stopped any meaningful immigration fixes. Harris has been mocked on social media this week after she served Anderson Cooper one of her gourmet word salads when he asked her why she has not accomplished some of the things that she's now saying needs to be done.
Some voters, though, might ask, you've been in the White House for 4 years, you were vice president, not the president, but why wasn't any of that done the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done, that haven't been done, but need to be done. And I'm not going to shy away from saying, hey, these are still problems that we need to fix.
No, you're pointing out things that, yes, need to be done, that could have been done, that weren't done. It's just that simple. She always tries to turn this back around because she's walking a tightrope here. She's still afraid to criticize Joe Biden and her own administration because, as she has said many times, and let her be clear, she always wants to be clear, that she's been a part of every decision that Joe Biden has made. She kind of dug her own hole there, didn't she? When she started out by thinking, well, I've got to appear strong. I got to appear like I was a really meaningful part of this administration. So I have to show them that Joe Biden relied on me and he included me in all the decision making. But then when some of her own party and when some of the mainstream media started asking her questions, like Anderson Cooper just asked her, well, Madam Vice President, if these things should have been done, why haven't you done them already? It's like a light went off. Oh, well, maybe I shouldn't just automatically agree that the Biden-Harris administration has been a success. I mean, is she not just as dumb as dirt? Now, I know I'm not supposed to call people dumb, especially people in positions like hers. And Nana Hudson would be disappointed in me, so let's not tell Nana Hudson that I called someone dumb. But she's dumb. She is just dumb. And she is just this close to becoming the most powerful person in the world. Folks, don't walk to the polls today for early voting. Run. Go right now and vote. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. This year, I really thought I was going to have to boycott the holidays. I was going to lock myself away and not come out until 2025. But after finding PhD weight loss, you can bet I'll be at every holiday party I'm invited to. That's because PhD weight loss helped me take control with great confidence, support, and my new healthy body. The best part, PhD weight loss did it all without harmful drugs that keep you dependent on them to maintain your weight loss. It's a natural, medication-free approach to weight loss crafted to naturally diminish food-related thoughts, hunger, and cravings, making your weight loss journey more sustainable and enjoyable. Take it from me, I lost 33 pounds. The PhD weight loss program teaches you not just what to eat and when, but also how to think differently about food and finally let go of those cravings and get rid of the hunger naturally. Don't lock yourself away this holiday season. Call PhD Weight Loss today at 864-644-1900. That's 864-644-1900, or go to myphdweightloss.com.
Hello, my name is Robert. I'm out here supporting Trump because personally I believe the proof is in the pudding, and the 4 years that he was in office showed what he could do for our country and what he did do in spite of everything.
That was Robert, who stopped by yesterday as we were out on Wade Hampton Boulevard in Greenville giving out free Trump signs. Many of you came by, and boy, it was a lot of fun getting to talk with you and why you're supporting Donald Trump and what you're doing to try to convince your friends, your neighbors, your church friends to do likewise. We'll get more of your comments here in just a minute. It was a fun afternoon. Enjoyed seeing so many of you, and boy, we gave out a lot of Trump signs as well. You know, we're in this final couple of weeks, well, not quite 2 weeks now, and the campaigns are literally crisscrossing the country with these final rallies, and you've got a lot of entertainers, big-name Hollywood names that are coming out, some in favor of Donald Trump, some in favor of Kamala Harris, and it makes you always wonder just what influence they really have. How important is it that Bruce Springsteen, for example, supports Kamala Harris? Who knows? Maybe it influences people, and maybe it doesn't. I guess it probably doesn't hurt, and it does kind of feel good when you have someone like actor and filmmaker Mel Gibson making headlines after he revealed his support for Donald Trump. In a recent encounter at LAX airport, Gibson didn't hold back his opinions on the presidential race, particularly when it comes to Vice President Kamala Harris. During a candid exchange with a cameraman just walking through the airport talking with Gibson, he confidently stated that it wouldn't surprise anyone who he plans to vote for, confirming that, yes, Trump is his choice. The star of Braveheart didn't mince words either, calling Harris's track record miserable and suggesting, I don't feel so bad now calling her dumb a minute ago, suggesting she has the IQ of a fence post.
I don't think it's going to surprise anyone who I vote for.
Well, so, I mean, I'm going to guess. Let me go in. Yeah. I'm going to guess Trump. Is that a bad guess?
I think it's a pretty good guess.
Well, what do you think the world will be like in a second term with President Trump's second term? A lot of people
I know what it'll be like if we let her in.
Yeah. Oh, really?
And that ain't good.
Yeah. Well,
miserable track record, appalling track record, no policies to speak of.
Yeah. And the border, right?
And she's got the IQ of a fence post.
The IQ of a fence post. I got to agree with him. That's a good one. Gibson's endorsement, of course, aligns him with some other notable Trump supporters in Hollywood, like Dennis Quaid, John Voight. John Voight has been a mainstay for Republican candidates for years now. Many, of course, in the industry continue to back Harris and Joe Biden. Gibson's political leanings are not new. He was previously spotted engaging with Trump at a UFC event back in Las Vegas. He's supported Republicans in the past. And again, as 2024 election approaches, celebrity endorsements are playing a role in these final days, as people like Bruce Springsteen, the rock legend, whom Harris called an American icon, has been supporting Democrat presidential candidates for decades now, performed at her recent rally. Also speaking at the vice president's rally in suburban Atlanta were actor, filmmaker, and playwright Tyler Perry, film director, producer, screenwriter Spike Lee, actor Samuel L. Jackson. Musician James Taylor was scheduled to perform at a rally in North Carolina with Minnesota Governor Tim Walz. Rapper, songwriter, music producer Eminem joined Barack Obama this week at a battleground state of Michigan at a Harris rally there for a get out the vote effort. So yes, I mean, it feels good when you have someone like Mel Gibson and some of these others supporting Trump, but Kamala Harris has as many supporting her as well. So maybe we just call it a draw, huh? And again, I'd love to get your comments. Does it matter to you? Either way, I mean, does it matter to you that Mel Gibson endorsed Donald Trump? Does it matter to you that Bruce Springsteen is singing at a rally for Kamala Harris? I mean, they're Americans just like us, and I guess they have that right to support whomever they want. And that's fine as long as they're doing it in the context of a political rally. What I don't like is to spend my money on an expensive ticket to go hear someone at a concert, for example, some musician, and them get up and talk about politics during their performance. That is a no-starter for me. Support whoever you want to. Go to their campaign rallies. Give them millions of dollars. I don't care. Just don't force your beliefs on me if I've bought a ticket to come see you perform. What a day we had in Greenville yesterday. Many of you came by as we gave away a lot of Trump campaign signs, and it was interesting talking with you. I got a chance to talk with a good many people coming in, and the common theme was we got to win this one or we're going to lose our country.
My name is Lourdes. I'm a Cuban American, and the reason why I'm here is because we know what happened in Cuba back in 1959 when Fidel Castro lied to everyone in the country. Look where they're at now, where they have no food, no water, and their buildings are falling on top of them. And they have no guns. They have no control over their lives, and we can't allow this to happen in this country for another 4 years. If we do, we are going to be doomed, and we need to get Trump back in office and get this country back in shape. He's the only one that can do the job.
Now, that's a real American for you. Boy, we had a lot of others who showed up yesterday who was excited about Donald Trump. We were out there from 3 o'clock to 6:30 on Wade Hampton Boulevard, waving signs, a lot of people coming by, honking their horns. You know one thing that I noticed? Every truck that came by honked their horns. Some of the big 18-wheelers, pulling the big air horns. Every truck. I think Trump has the backing of truckers. Truckers for Trump. Because they made a point A couple even pulled over into the median of Wade Hampton Boulevard and just kept blowing their horn. Couldn't pull the truck into our parking lot, so we took signs out to them. It was a fun day. Appreciate all of you being there. Your comments are welcome on the Furman Ford text line, 864-477-JOEY. That's 864-477-5639. Emails always welcome, joey@joeyhudson.com. Speaking of the Furman Ford text line, it's never been more important to support locally run businesses owned by people who actually live here in the upstate. Let me take a minute to talk with you about our friends at Furman Ford. If you're looking for a new vehicle, maybe a great pre-owned vehicle, one you can trust, or maybe you're looking to order that special vehicle. Either way, if you want a new one, a brand new one, or a pre-owned that you can trust, the folks at Furman Ford, they're there to help you. Their name is on the sign because their name is on the line, because every single transaction is important to them. Jim Furman, Matthew Furman. They do business the right way. When you stop by, when you give them a call, or maybe when you just send them a quick email, you're always going to have access to a member of the Furman Ford family. And by the way, they also offer great service, and you're not going to have to wait weeks and weeks to get it done. And you do not have had to purchase your vehicle at Furman Ford. Doesn't even have to be a Ford. They service all makes and models. Visit my friends at Furman Ford online at furmanford.com, furmanford.com. As I mentioned earlier, we had a great time yesterday handing out Trump campaign signs. If you missed it, you missed a good time. Plus, you missed some free Trump yard signs. My buddy Nate Loip with the 4th District Republican Club was the mastermind behind it. He's the one who kind of made it all come together. And I took a minute to talk with Nate about the importance of doing events like yesterday.
We organized this Trump sign wave because oftentimes in South Carolina, being the first in the South, we get a lot of attention during the primary. But when it comes to the general election, we're confident that South Carolina is going to go for President Trump. So a lot of times there's not as many options for Trump supporters in the upstate. So we wanted just to make sure that we arrange something that Trump supporters could come out and get signs. Signs are a hot commodity here in the upstate. The Trump campaign wisely uses its resource in the other states, the states that are maybe a little bit more in play than South Carolina. So the 4th District Republican Club wanted to make sure that we could offer signs for people in the upstate to show our support for President Trump.
See, you heard that big truck. Again, every truck that came by just blew those big air horns. It was great fun. And again, thanks so much for those of you who came out. And you got a free Trump sign for coming by. Los Angeles top cop says that he has reached a decision to seek a reduced sentence for the Menendez brothers. Now, when you get into the weeds on this case, and I read the headline initially, and I'm old enough to remember the trial of these two young men. And I'm thinking, he can't be serious. What's the story here? District Attorney George Gaskin, he's a leftist liberal, right out of the Kamala Harris mold, told reporters yesterday afternoon, quote, "After very careful review of all the arguments, I came to a place where I believe that under the law, resentencing is appropriate, and I'm going to recommend that to a court tomorrow." He said that he'll recommend a sentence of 50 years to life for each of the brothers, which would make them immediately eligible for parole under state law because they were under 26 at the time of the murders. Eric and Joseph Lyle Menendez ambushed their parents with shotguns in the living room of their Beverly Hills mansion in 1989. Their first trial ended in a mistrial. They were both convicted after their second trial and sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. However, under a new California law, district attorneys have the authority to request new sentences that were handed down before they took office. Is this not the craziest thing you've ever heard? So a new district attorney can come into office and can go back on prior cases and ask for a new sentence. Gascon said they have been in prison for nearly 35 years. I believe that they have paid their debt to society. I wonder what their mom and dad would think right now if they could. They can't because they blew their heads off. You think they would believe that they paid their debt to society? They killed their mom and dad, shot them with a shotgun? A jury at that point in time found them guilty, sentenced them to life so that they would never be free to harm anyone again. And now this guy wants to set them free, wants to put them out on the road, turn them loose. He added that a resentencing must be approved by the court before it becomes official, and that a parole board will need to sign off on their eventual release. He went on to praise the brothers' good behavior during their decades behind bars. Oh, yeah, they've been good boys now. They shot their mommy and daddy when they were in their 20s, but they've been good boys in jail, so we're going to turn them loose. The brothers and their supporters, which surprisingly, they do have some supporters, some relatives. Among them, according to Fox, their mother's sister, Joan Anderson Vandermolen, petitioned Gaskin for a resentencing early this year, arguing that new evidence shows the brothers were sexually abused and molested by their father. The new evidence includes allegations made public last year that their father also molested Roy Rossello, a former member of the boy band Menendez. This was back in the 1980s. And a letter that Eric Menendez wrote to his cousin Andy Cano, which surfaced in 2015 after Mr. Cano passed away. The date the letter was written has been challenged by critics of the brothers' potential release. The defense said he sent it to his cousin 8 months before the murders, when the brothers were 21 and 18. The Menendez brothers are now both in their 50s. Gascon is up for re-election in less than 2 weeks. So maybe this is where we're headed with this. He has a tough re-election coming up. He's facing a strong challenge from independent candidate Nathan Hochman, who is a former federal prosecutor. Critics have called his involvement in the high-profile case politically motivated, but there's also some public support for the brothers' release after a series of recent documentaries attracted some attention to their case. Mr. Gascon received the Menendez habeas corpus petition in May of 2023 and requested a resentencing in February 2024, early this year. But he's waited until days before the November 5th election. He's 30 points down in the polls, with articles coming out about his failed policies, which have led to additional murders of innocent people, to release his recommendation for resentencing. His challenger, Nathan Hochman, told Fox News Digital, by releasing it now, Gascon has cast a cloud over the fairness and impartiality of his decision, allowing Angelenos to question whether the decision was correct and just another desperate political move by a DA running a losing campaign and scrambling to grab headlines through a made-for-TV decision. Now, again, here's why they're in prison to begin with. These two brothers unloaded shotguns at their father, who was a former RCA Records executive, Jose Menendez, and their mother, Mary Kitty Menendez, while the couple were watching TV at 10:30 p.m. one night. They ran out of shotgun shells, so they had to go outside to get more in order to finish off their mother. Investigators say that she had blood on the bottom of her shoes, which indicates that she had tried to run from her own sons, that she had tried to escape after the shooting began. These cold-blooded killers went out and got more ammo, came back in to finish their mother off. Who does that? Now, not all the brothers' family members support their release. Kitty Menendez, their mother's brother, Milton Anderson, he's 90 years old, vehemently opposes a reduced sentence. And on Wednesday of this week, asked the judge overseeing the case to keep his nephews in prison for the rest of their lives as they were sentenced originally. His attorney, Kathleen Cady, said in a statement, it's Milton Anderson's continued belief that the claims of molestation were made up and they were false, and he believes that the correct verdict was issued by the jury and the correct sentence was also committed. Wow. I don't really know what to think about this. I can't imagine a prosecutor wanting this case to be resentenced. I mean, it doesn't appear that there was any question that these two young men shot and killed their mom and dad in cold blood. And now, because they've been good boys in prison, and because they were less than 26. I mean, they were so young then. Well, they were old enough to get the shotgun and to shoot their mom and dad, practically blow their heads off. They were old enough to do that. Wow. What do you think? Should they stay in prison? Or do you agree with Mr. Gascon's opponent? This is just a politically motivated attempt to somehow, I can't imagine why he would think that people in Los Angeles would want a weak prosecutor, would want a prosecutor who would go back on a case this old and set two killers loose. Maybe he has a different idea of the role of a prosecutor. Text me, email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. Love to get your comments on whether or not you think they should stay in prison or not. I mean, regardless, let's say they have been good in prison. Let's say they have they're sorry for what they did. They have remorse. Do you ever get the opportunity to be free again, though, if you killed your own mom and dad? Wow. On a more positive note, yesterday I got a chance to chat with John, who came by to pick up his free Trump sign, and I asked him why he was there, why it was important to him to come by, first of all, and pick up a sign, secondly, to spend some time out there just waving the sign and encouraging people coming down Wade Hampton to vote. Here's John.
I'm out here today to support Trump, because if there's a nation who needs him more in office now, it's the United States of America. The last 4 years, what we have faced is just been the worst detriment to this nation in the history of the United States itself. We need support. Trump needs support, and his enemies are doing everything to prevent it, including assassination attempts and anything. So the more support he gets, the better a chance he'll have. And if he gets in, our nation will be much better off than it was even while he was in office, as he claims, and I have no reason to not believe that.
John was one of many who came by and picked up their Trump signs yesterday. Again, it was good to see all of you. Whether you're replacing a broken appliance or maybe you're just upgrading, you're totally remodeling the kitchen, when it's time to get those new appliances, when you're ready for them, you don't want to have to wait weeks or even months to get started using them, right? Well, that's not the case when you shop with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse. With over 11,000 square feet and 1,500 appliances at any given time, you can buy today and use today quite often. I'm talking about shopping with my friends at Discounted Appliance Warehouse in Pickens. It's worth the short drive over to Pickens. Jeff, Johnny, Kyle, the whole team over there, they'll take good care of you. They have an award-winning service department, expert installation, extended warranties, and at Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they treat you like family. You're more than just a credit card swipe to all the team over there. Discounted Appliance Warehouse, they're proud to offer Speed Queen, the only washer and dryers with manufacturer's warranties that cover parts and labor. You owe it to yourself, if you're looking for a new appliance, to head over to Pickens to Discounted Appliance Warehouse online at dawpickens.com, dawpickens.com. On our text line today, Joey, I'm about to think we don't need Nevada as a state after listening to the ignorant from there saying how qualified Harris is. There must be senile at a nursing home that were interviewed. Good golly, and if it takes 12 or so days to count the votes, there's a problem. Texter, this is from Carol, says, hey, Joey, I, like yourself, feel the pride and freedom of traditionally voting on Election Day, but this election I have decided to vote early because it enables the Trump Force callers to remind each registered voter who has not voted yet the importance of each to vote. And Carol, I mentioned yesterday, I'm going to early vote. I'm going probably Monday. You all have convinced me that I need to vote early. Dan in Greenville says, wonder what Kamala will do when she loses as a career. Think she'll stay in politics? Don't think she can get a real job? Nobody can stand her voice. It's like scratching a chalkboard. You know, Dan, I'm the same way. I get frustrated. I get kind of anxious, even angry at times, just listening to her voice. And I think it's kind of because, too, I know that when she's talking, she's lying. Or she just doesn't have a clue what she's talking about. I mean, again, that clip that I shared with you earlier, when she was talking with Anderson Cooper this week, and he asked her, well, you know, Madam Vice President, some of these things that you say need to be done now, why haven't you done them in the 3.5 years since you've been here? That's worth replaying. Listen again. Here's the Vice President with Anderson Cooper this week.
Some voters, though, might ask, you've been in the White House for 4 years, you were vice president, not the president, but why wasn't any of that done the last 4 years?
Well, there was a lot that was done, but there's more to do, Anderson. And I'm pointing out things that need to be done, that haven't been done, but need to be done. And I'm not going to shy away from saying, hey, these are still problems that we need to fix.
I mean, you just listen to her. I mean, well, yes, there's things that need to be done. That's what I'm saying. We need to do those, and I'm proposing things that should have been done that haven't been done. Well, my question would be, why haven't they been done? If they're so important now, you've had 3.5 years, why haven't you done them before now? Wow. Jordan writes on the text line, hello, Joey, did something happen this morning? I think your podcast from yesterday was re-uploaded. Well, you know, I had several of you text and email me about the podcast yesterday. And yes, initially it appears that the server did not update. So if you started real early yesterday, you might have heard the previous day's podcast. But it was updated sometime, I think maybe 7:30, 8 o'clock or so. So if you listen later in the day, you probably didn't notice it. But thank you, Jordan, and to others who reached out to me to say, hey, something's not quite right here. Hey, and if you're not listening to the podcast, be sure and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson, Just the Truth, wherever you listen to podcasts, on the Odyssey app, Apple, iTunes, wherever. You can, if you missed part of today's show, you can go back and listen to everything on the podcast. Paul writes, just for you, a thought. And he cites scripture here from Jeremiah, I guess it is, 5:3. O Lord, are not thine eyes upon the truth? Thank you. Just the truth. Remember who is watching. I love your podcast, he says. Thank you, Paul. Appreciate that. Thanks for sending the scripture as well. Sherry in Elberton, Georgia says, my husband and I voted Tuesday in Georgia. I used to refuse to vote early, but I think the soonest you can is the best to bank my vote. And finally, I wanted to tell you I was checking out at a Walmart, and I try to, when I feel it's a good time, to comment on the economy and then tell the cashier, I hope you're planning to vote. The woman I talked with this Saturday said that she was 52 years old, and she was ashamed to say that she's never voted. But she said she registered this year and plans to vote. Then she asked if she had to vote in the county she lived in, and I told her yes, and good for her that she was going to vote because it matters so much more than ever before. Thank you for Just the Truth, praying for our country, the best country in the world, and we want to keep it that way. Sorry for the extra long text. Well, thank you, Sherry. I appreciate that. And, you know, one key point there that you brought up is, yes, we need to pray for our country. Pray, pray, pray. Texter, taxpayers paid for illegals to freely come into this country under the recent administration. My only question is, as a Trump supporter, who's paying to send them back? Will it be that leftover billions the Harris campaign has raised? If not, it's like that vote, no tax for the state roads here in South Carolina. I've already paid for it once. Why should I pay for it again? Your opinion. Well, thank you. That's a good question. I don't think you're going to like the answer, but it is the answer. Yes, if Trump is successful and is able to launch what he is calling the largest mass deportation our country has ever experienced, we're going to have to pay for it. But isn't it a small amount to pay to get people out of the country who are here illegally and who are draining resources that they'll never pay for anyway? Yes, it's going to be a little painful because it's going to cost billions of dollars. It shouldn't. And you know, you had a pretty good idea there about paying it out of Kamala's campaign funds. I got a feeling there's not going to be campaign funds left over. She's spending like a drunken sailor right now with ads and everything else in her desperate attempt to try to hold on to this. But that is a good question, and I've thought about it. Because, you know, Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, in the end, will have cost us so much money. And they started it, as they very proudly like to say, on day one of the administration, by reversing a number of executive orders that just threw our border doors wide open to these illegals. They stopped construction of the wall, and they just sold off the material, the wall that we had spent probably billions on to the materials out there. They pretty much gave them away. For the first year or so, they just sat out there, according to multiple reports. They were rusting away. Finally, they had one of these federal auctions where they sold it for pennies on the dollar. Now, we're going to have to buy the same material again to finish building the wall. Plus, it's going to cost us a small fortune to return those people who came across the border because there wasn't the wall to begin with. But again, you agree? And text me or email me, joey@joeyhudson.com. You agree that it will be worth the expense to get the people who should not be in our country, get them back out, return them from whence they came? Because in the long run, it's going to cost us less. Because if they stay here and continue to drain our resources, continue to fill our schools with their kids, continue to go to our hospitals, continue to take jobs that they shouldn't have to begin with, that they are taking from hardworking Americans, won't it be worth the additional expense to return them? Now, honestly, it's a little overwhelming to think what that looks like. How do you literally round people up who are already here and send them back home? How do you even know where they're from? But if anybody can do it, Donald Trump can do it. If it's at all possible, he'll come up with a plan, and he will ship them back. And that's what needs to happen. If they want to come back legally, there's a process, and they need to abide by the process. That's it for today's show. Tara's coming up next, followed by Mike Gallagher, Bill Frady, Charlie James. Mark Levin wraps things up tonight. We're back on Monday. Hope you'll plan to join us in. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control. That's it for today's edition of Just the Truth. Thanks for joining me in the PhD Weight Loss Studios. To lose weight for the last time, visit myphdweightloss.com. If you haven't joined my mailing list yet, visit my website, joeyhudson.com. Click on the Connect with Joey button so that you can receive our emails and the most up-to-date news. Also, join me on my YouTube channel. Be sure and like, comment, and subscribe. Just search for Joey Hudson. As always, thanks for spending a few minutes of your day with me. Do me a favor and forward this episode to a few friends. Just click on the share button and send to your contacts. We need to build an army of conservatives to win our country back, and we can do that by continuing to share the truth with our friends and family. Keep those comments coming via the Furman Ford text line 864-477-JOEY. Email to joey@joeyhudson.com, and I love your messages on the MyPillow message line. Again, that's 864-477-JOEY, 864-477-5639. Be sure and take advantage of the MyPillow special, just $14.88 on the standard MyPillows when you use promo code Joey. Order online at MyPillow.com or call 800-893-4053. We're back again tomorrow and hope you'll plan to join us. Until then, remember, God's got this. He's still in control.